Felicitations! It is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast. Welcome back to me! I have been gone a couple weeks, guys, and I'm surprised I'm back. Not because I never was going to come back, but I survived. I survived! It was really tough, guys. Really tough. I had a tough... I guess I've been gone since August, 30th? Since Dragon Con. So when last we spoke, I was in process to go to Dragon Con. And I went. And I've talked about how I love Dragon Con so much before. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast, but it's my 100% favorite convention. I have other favorites. I love Emerald City. I love C2E2. I love Calgary. I have really great memories of a lot of different conventions. San Diego, New York. I've done a lot of conventions. I've been to a lot of really great places. But Dragon Con for me it's just like Mardi Gras for geeks. And I've seen like the craziest behavior there. And I wasn't in a sorority. I never went out and partied. So like Dragon Con is as racy as I've ever gotten, which means like I stayed out until 3 a.m. like, watching half naked, Vulcans make out on the floor of a hotel room. Not a room, in the hallway, maybe in a room. I don't know. Fever dream. So it's my favorite con. But I went because I actually have family there in Atlanta now. So the whole point was that I was going to bring the baby to Dragon Con to see her grandma and, other relatives. And turns out I had to leave immediately to go to Vancouver to work for 2.5 weeks. And I had to leave her behind. So as sad as that was, I had a great time. Guys, it was so nice. I was on that plane. It was the first time I had flown without Calliope since she was born. And I have to tell you, man, it was the best 4 hours of my life. I got so much done. I was so happy. I have a stuffy nose, if you are noticing that right now, because I had a cold. I'll get into it. I'll get into all of it. Oh, believe me. But I had such a good time on the plane ride. I just was like, oh, this is why I used to love traveling so much. Because it's kind of gotten almost to the PTSD kind of thing where, okay, we got to take the baby. Okay, how many hours is it? Okay, how much carry-on do I need to keep her amused? But it was so beautiful to Atlanta. And on the way back, I don't know what happened. I got a flatbed seat. It was this random happenstance that I got this amazing flight on a Delta flight that had a flatbed, and I was like, hallelujah, hallelujah. I had to learn a lot of lines, so I couldn't actually sleep on the flatbed. But let me just tell you, it was sweet business. Dragon Con itself was amazing. The MST3K crew was there. Jonah, who plays the new the new Experiment, the new Joel, he had never been to a Dragon Con before. He'd only been to San Diego. And I was like, listen, you are going to be broken in here. And he had a great time. He was just really appreciative of meeting the fans. He was so cute. He was like, I'm going to wear my jumpsuit. I think people are going to enjoy that. And he loved just talking to people. And we had 2 sold out panels. And it was just nice because we have a new season in the not too distant future. And it's just nice to get together. Joel is such an amazing genius, and his mind works like no other that I've ever met. And we did a live reading of the comic that just came out, which is really fun, you guys. As a fan of the show, it's really clever. They basically MST3K existing public domain comics, which is so funny, you guys. Just knowing that it's a real comic that somebody wrote, I think it's just brilliant. So anyway, and I saw my family. I checked those boxes. It's nice to know who you're related to and catch up. Oh, pardon me. Oof. It's been bad. So that's what started the whole trek. And then I flew immediately back and turned around and left 5 hours later to go to Vancouver. And I can't talk about the show. I worked on 2 different TV shows. That's what I can tell you. And I can't tell you what they were. But I can tell you that I had an amazing time and I had really good co-stars, and I had a lot of fun things to do, which is always fun. And I got to the point where I was so tired, you guys, I did my best acting work. Because I think half the time we have so much more brilliance underneath that we suppress because of this kind of like meta head that we have on. It's like a helmet of anxiety and self-consciousness and inhibition and second guessing. And I feel like it is a barrier that is artificially like, I don't know, you know, when you like drive a tire in mud, so you got the pure tire and then you start driving in mud and you don't wash the tire off and you drive through mud some more. I feel like growing up is mud. We put all this mud on our tire, and underneath is this beautiful wheel of brilliance that is our true selves, and we can't get it out. There's too much mud. So I guess maybe ultimate fatigue gets rid of some of the mud because I feel like I was proud of the work I did as an actor, which sometimes, I don't allow myself to be happy most of the time. Anyway, I had a great time. Except for one story that I do want to tell, which is incredible, you guys. It's an incredible story. This is crazy. Oh, and also I did Rose City. I went to DragonCon, immediately landed, immediately turned around, flew out with the baby, and I brought my nanny with me because I was like, I'm going to be gone too long. The baby is going to be in the hotel. I didn't want a stranger watching her, so I brought her along this time, which was great because if I was working on set, I literally worked 16 hours several days in a row. I was working until 3 a.m. on Friday, two Fridays in a row, which people, it is not, there is a reason why they have a crew of makeup and hair to make you look good because literally they have to spackle on your face at a certain point because you're so tired and you're just trying to hit your mark and you're just trying to get by and sometimes you're doing crazy stunts. You're in the middle of like a lake or something. Last season on The Magicians, I had to be on a lake at 3 a.m. on a Friday and it was like so cold. I don't know what Canadian measurement it was, but it was super cold. And I loved every minute of it. That's what, I don't know. I'm just a set person. I love it. I love being on set with people. So anyway, and then I did Rose City, which was incredible. I should have canceled, you guys, because I worked again until 3 a.m. on that Friday. Then I turned around and got on a 7 a.m. flight with the baby, went down to Portland, worked at the convention on the weekend, which was so much fun. Portland, you were wonderful. There were so many stories that touched my heart in Portland particularly. There was a woman whose daughter passed away this past year, and she had a little baby with her as well. And there was another person who lost everything he owns in a fire, and watching the guild kind of got him through the hospital stay. I was crying a lot, you guys. I was really crying and touched by a lot of amazing stories by people and fans, and we had and I got a lot of really great handmade items because I was like, Portland, you're going to come through with some knit objects. Woohoo! Knit objects galore. And people brought me donuts. So that was an amazing convention. And then I turned around, went back to Vancouver, finished one TV show, immediately started another. And I basically did not have a day off, not one day off for 16 days. So no wonder I got sick. And then I gave it to the baby and she got sick. And then I gave it to several other people and they all got sick. And I didn't sleep for like a week because the baby could not breathe through her nose. So that's kind of what it is. So now I'm going to tell you the story, which is crazy. I just caught up on the procedurals, and now here's the crazy story. Okay, listen. So, last Thursday, a week ago, I was on set, and we were working until 1 o'clock. We were working until 11. Around 9 p.m., I get a call from my nanny, and she's like, I don't want to scare you, but we got this note. So evidently, earlier in the day, a little spa package, like a little, one of those bags that has a little gift certificate in there, arrived at the hotel. And I assumed it was the last production sending me a thank you card or something, because I'm like, why else would I get a spa gift certificate? Okay, I got it. So anyway, she opened it after the baby went to sleep, and inside was a note that said, happy last day. Smile, but with X's. An X and a smile. Okay. And inside was a happy birthday $100 spa certificate that somebody had printed out online. So it looked really suspicious. And then in that, it said, happy death day, baby. baby Bay. Okay. Of course, I flip out. I'm like sobbing. I'm so freaked out. And everybody on the set is like, what is wrong? Are you okay? And I'm like, I think somebody sent me a threatening note at my hotel room. And I'm telling this in a story. Okay, it turns, guys, don't be scared. I don't want to make this too overdramatic because I don't want anybody to feel like, oh my God, Felicia. No, I mean, it was scary at the time, very scary. So I'm like, what is going on? Do I need to get my baby out of there? Why would they mention a baby? This is crazy. Because in general, I am not famous enough for that. And also, I've had a couple of encounters that have been over the line in my many years on the internet. But I would say generally, people are awesome. And so it was scary, to say the least, to get these weird notes. And $100, by the way, $100 doesn't even pay for a massage at a spa anymore. You know what I'm saying? So like, who gets $100? It seemed like an excuse to get in the door. So we get hotel security involved. We file a police report. I'm still on set. I have three scenes to do. And I'm like trying to keep it together. And by the time I finish, but production was so helpful. They were like, we're going to go over there. We're going to move you. We're going to send a bodyguard. We're going to do all this stuff. And everybody was so lovely. I was like, okay, I can handle this. So we decided I was going to just get somebody, a guard to go in and sleep in the room. And then, because it was a room with a living room, and then we were going to move hotels the next day because I did not feel safe. As I'm leaving, this is like an hour and a half later. As I'm leaving, guess what happened? Oh, the hotel finally figures out that it was supposed to go to a room something 7, and I was in a something 1 room, and the person who wrote it made it look like a 1. So evidently, an actor on another show got killed off, and the production sent them a $100 gift certificate for the spa. What? I've never gotten money for getting killed off anything, and I've died so many times. B, $100 does not even buy, I've already said this, is not even a salt scrub. That doesn't even include a tip for anything. Like, who are these people? 3, everybody was freaked out to the max. Everybody on set, the producer went down to the hotel for me. It was so sweet. Like, everybody was all hands on deck. Let's cover this. And like, how can you colossally screw that up? And it takes an hour and a half to figure out your mess up. Ugh. And the next day, they never called me to apologize. I'm getting so high-pitched right now. So, I got to take a sip of water. Can you believe that story, guys? And I could have made it way more overdramatic and made you feel way sorry for me, but I didn't want you to feel like, oh my God, horrified. So that's the story. That's really the big event of the thing. And this was like the last day. Like literally, it was the next to last day before I got to go home. And I was like, please, let me make it through this. Because I honestly was operating on 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night for 2 weeks. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I don't recognize my face because I am just haggard. And the poor, because basically the baby doesn't sleep in a crib. So I sleep in the king bed with her, right? Which should be plenty of room for 2 human-sized people. But for a baby who's 2.5 feet long, it's not enough room. She is like a whirlicopter. She's like spinning and spinning and rolling. And literally I will wake up and she's like on me. And I'm like, lady, there are 5 miles of bed over there. Why do you have your foot in my mouth? So I've got to figure it out. Maybe next time I'll get like a rollaway bed, but I'm afraid that if it's like a rollaway bed, she'll roll off because she's not very good at staying on the bed. She has a single mattress that I got for free off of Twitter, which I always talk about, but it's a Lisa mattress. Nice, very comfortable, quality mattress, not paid for, but they did give me a free mattress, transparent. But I do have a little guardrail because she does like flop around so much. So I don't know, maybe I'll try it next time because I think she smells milk on me. And then she's just like, "Rarg, I need midnight snacks. Rarg." I got a wiener, baby. Oh, I got to wait in this baby. Get off of me. I love you so much. You are a grown person. You can eat ribs off a bone. You do not need breast milk anymore. So anyway, that's the deal. That's my eventful, and I loved it. I got to do 2 conventions that I did not want to cancel. People thank me so much for not canceling Rose City, even though I was like operating on 1 hour sleep. I look pretty good. I know how to spackle. I actually I worked until 3 a.m. I went home. I didn't mess with my hair and makeup. And then I just like went. So like I was professionally made up for that. So it would look pretty good. And so that's it. So I have to say that I'm really relieved that I only have a couple of things that I'm doing for the rest of the year. I'm going to Vancouver Fan Expo, and one other event that has not been announced, which I'm really excited about. It's not a convention. It's not like a signing thing, but it is an event that I'm excited to go to. I don't want to talk to you about it yet, but I will. And then other than that, I am basically staying at home because I have 2 writing projects that I got hired to do. I pitched and people want to do them. And I can't say what they are, but I can say that I'm really excited and they're mine and they actually most probably will actually be made so you can see them. So basically at the beginning of this year, I was like, what do you want to do with your life? You need to start doing that. And so now that I don't have like a company that I'm running and I'm not doing all these videos that I used to do, which I miss a little bit, you guys, but at the same time, it allows me to work on longer term stuff. And I'm not kidding. I started working on these things in January and it took 8 months just to actually get out the door and start proposing them to people, and another month for people to even get back to me. So, it takes so long to make anything big, but that's what happens when you ask people to invest in you and choose you over other people, which is always a blessing. So I'm excited about it. And I'm actually just excited to kind of like gear down for the rest of the year and work on myself. I don't know exactly what I'm doing with my life. I mean, I'm being me, which is what I've been doing for 10 years kind of, which is fine. But I'm kind of reaching the point where I'm like, what am I going to be doing in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years? I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I have so many things that I love doing, but like I feel like having a kid, you realize the things I've been trying to cling to keep in my life are even too much. And those are very few. As you guys know, I've got rid of my book club. I got rid of, I left my company on a day-to-day basis. I did a lot of things where I removed myself from things I love, in order to make room for, things that I think will be more long-term satisfying for me. Especially, web video is in a really weird state right now. Like some people, when you ask me felicitations questions, you're asking me, what web series should I watch? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of web series out there right now, especially not in the sort of traditional scripted way that, the Guild kind of pioneered. And there's a lot of great series that are like on YouTube, but they're not like serialized in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Everything's become television. And so it's hard to be like, oh, I wish I could do that again. Well, there's not really opportunity to do it, really. I'm just glad, Geek and Sundry and everybody keep going, doing more live streaming, but still community-based stuff. So long story short, I want to take the rest of the year because for me, a lot of the times I've gotten a lot of things done between like October and the end of the year. I feel like the year's end is a real good time to give yourself a limited sort of like deadline. That's how I wrote the Guild. I gave myself, 2 months to write the Guild, and I actually wrote most of it the last week of the year, but I was like, you're going to write it no matter what, or you're a failure. Don't talk to yourself like that, please. But it is good to have that sort of like bookend of a year to see like, I need to leave this year with this accomplished, or this and this and this accomplished. And so I'm excited to kind of like slow down and sort of buckle down on the creative stuff that I want to accomplish this year. And I hope you guys can do that too, really. NaNoWriMo is in November. If any of you want to like complete a script of some kind, comics or a book or a biography or whatever it is creatively that you guys want to kind of accomplish, why not use the end of the year as sort of like a deadline? I am very cogent of the fact that I have not been using my time as efficiently as I can. And I am going to be like setting aside Twitter and Facebook on my phone. I'm not going to allow myself to sort of reflexively check it. I'm going to reward myself like 2 or 3 times a day to check it. But like, I noticed that the more I check Twitter, especially lately, this week has been really demoralizing for me in a couple of ways, with politics stuff, with just reading terrible articles about, things that I don't want to read about, like elephants dying out and being poached. And yeah, I don't know. I just let a lot of things knock me down this week. I think because I'm so tired, it's affecting me mentally a little bit harder than it usually has been the last couple of years. And so I'm kind of teetering on the edge of like, hey, I don't want to go to a dark place, but the dark place might be waiting for me. Let's figure out what I can do. And the best thing I can think of doing is just basically put one foot forward creatively, like step. So I have a project where I'm like, I just want you to write 1 page a day. And I just want you to do Duolingo 1 lesson a day. And I just want you to do, work out 2 times a week. So basically, I'm just going to take some time and restructure my life and try to just get habits done. Because I think the more we do habits in our life, the more we can feel like we're accomplishing something because we're building towards something. I mean, the most gratifying things are things that take a long time and sort of are cumulative. But we allow ourselves in this life, I think, to really be distracted by the now and the immediate. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with my career too. Like, don't focus on just, the immediate, focused on long-term things. And I would love to crunch that into the last couple of months of this year. I don't know. I just talked way too much about that. But anyway, so I've been reading a couple of books before I do some questions. I went to Powell's in Portland. I was able to have the morning to go there before my plane left, and I bought several books. Calliope loved the kids section, but I bought 2 books that attracted me to them. One of them I forgot the name of. I will probably read it this week, so I'll talk about it next week. The other one is called How to Live a Life of Montaigne by Sarah Bakewell. And I understand that that's probably seems snooty because Montaigne, who is that? Well, if you don't know Montaigne, he is a person who lived in the 16th century, and he wrote essays, and he sort of pioneered the sort of stream of consciousness, self-reflection sort of style of writing. And it's almost like a vlogger in a sense. And I remember reading his essays, abridged essays, many years ago, and being so struck by the universality of what he talks about. He is the kind of person that is so relatable. You can picture yourself in the 16th century so easily, or you can picture him today. He could be a neighbor. He could be a friend. He could be a vlogger, really. And that's what I love about it. He really makes history seem invisible in a sense. And he shows you that people, no matter when they were living, we're all the same. We're all the same. We all have the same. He gets mad at traffic because there's too much traffic with the horses, and there's just so many things he's complaining about. I mean, he's complaining about 16th century traffic. It's just incredible. He's a hypochondriac. He loves reading in books, and I don't know. I read his essays, and I've reread them several times over the last, since I got out of college, just because I find them to be so refreshing and kind of restore my faith in humanity, or just the fact that we are not special the way we live now. Everything we've done now and we're going through has kind of been done before. And that's why studying history, I think, is so important because we can learn from it. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on now, like politically, where we're swinging so far to another, side. And if you read, I've been reading a little book on McCarthyism and that kind of history. And I read a book on Salem witch trials a couple months back where it really showed me, I understand this Puritan values, this mindset of like condemning the different and all these other things really felt very fresh and depressingly applicable to nowadays. So anyway, that's my Smarty Pants book I'm reading. It's basically a book where this author interprets a lot of things and gives you his biography at the same time of kind of like explaining how he did what he did. And I'm also reading on the more trashy side, Magic Triumphs by Ilona Andrews. If you guys like urban fantasy, Ilona Andrews wrote one of my very favorite series called Kate Daniels series. And it's shapeshifters and magic, but it's set in like alternate Atlanta. So like it's a world where like magic will come through and like cut off all technology, and then it will go away, and then technology's back and magic's gone. And then there's shapeshifters and witches and vampires and all this stuff, but it's in a really cool modern way. And it's really one of my favorite urban fantasies. There's romance in it, but I think there's a lot of fighting too. She's like a sword fighter. It's so great. And this is the last book in the series. And I kind of been delaying picking it up because I was like, oh, I don't want it to end. But the author is actually a pair of authors. They're married, but they call themselves Ilona Andrews. And they have a lot of other books, hopefully in the world, that they plan on doing. And I'm excited. But, as usual, this one's awesome. And I've just started picking it up. So I'm excited to read that one this week. A couple of people have been asking, Felicia, how do you read so many books so quickly? Well, Priscilla Basilio asked that. A couple other people. Well, you guys, I kind of skim. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't speed read. I do like a hybrid speed read, and I just read really fast. I mean, they say that you can absorb a whole page when you look at it, and I kind of I feel like my eye parses chunks of a page as I'm reading it, so I'm kind of reading ahead and behind as I'm reading. If that makes any sense at all? Probably not. I do speed read. There are certain authors that I will not speed read. I just really enjoy their prose. Usually Doctor Strange and Mr. Norrell was one of those books where I took a week to read it because I loved the way that the words were put together again. They were put together, not again. And there was another author called Catherine Valente, who I absolutely adore. N.K. Jemisin is the same, and Guy Gavriel Kay is another one. Those are four authors who I love the way they use words so much that I will read them much slower, and I'll take 4 to 5 days, 5 to 6, a week to read a book. But in general, I love skimming. And I just obviously I don't skim the more complicated books. Ilona Andrews' book, I'll probably finish in 2 days. I could finish it in one night if I really got greedy and wanted to really regret it the next day. But that's why I kind of like disposable books a little bit more. I mean, they're kind of my TV. I kind of rather read a book like that than watch TV. Lately, I just can't get myself to watch TV, you guys. It's just too much. And I drive down the street in LA, and there's literally a billboard every single block for a new television show that I'm not going to get to. They all look there's just too much. And I feel like it's kind of like the Napsterification of TV or the web videoification of TV. Web video's gone and TV has replaced it, but there's so much of it that I don't know how all of that's not going to die out too, right? Because nobody can watch that much. I don't know how TV critics do it. How do you watch all that? You can't give somebody, a chance. You can't really watch a whole series. So, I don't know. I watch British Baking Show, and the new one is really good, you guys. So, I watch British Baking Show and house design shows. What am I becoming? Oh, wait, I always did that. I just had more time for scripted stuff. Okay, those are the books I read. That's what happened to me. I don't know. Let's do a couple questions. Homebird Teacher asks, I have a 3-year-old, 4 in October, and I was wondering when kiddos should start music, lessons. Well, Homebird Teacher, I started the violin at 2.5, and that is exceptionally early. I did the Suzuki method, which is, and my mom saw, I read this in my book, my mom saw a bunch of little kids playing the violin on Donahue, which was pre-Oprah, and she's like, oh, Felicia should do that. She has a bent thumb. I have thumbs, my thumbs don't straighten all the way. It's, I guess, a birth defect, I don't know. And she thought because it could curl around the instrument that it would be beneficial. I don't know. Anyway, that's how I started playing. I really want to get Calliope to start playing an instrument, and I was thinking about 3 I would start. I would love her to play the piano because it's just better at parties. She loves playing ukulele with me. I got her own ukulele, and I play very bad ukulele with her, which is really fun. And I haven't been playing the violin as much for her, but I would like her to be able to do an instrument that is easier to compose on because I always wanted to compose more, and I just never stuck with the guitar or piano long enough to actually learn how to play it and actually had the freedom to invent on it. So I guess that's what I would love her to do. I don't want to push her. My brother and I we both started in music really early. It didn't stick with him. Later in life, he became an amazing percussionist. He really loved drums and he took lessons. But my mom, I remember he had a cello at age 3 and all he did was polish the bow and then he took the whole thing apart. So, so I don't know. It also depends on the kid. I think maybe introducing the different instruments at first would be really good. But honestly, I think it's the best thing you could do. And studies show that a kid who has music in their life really early, they wire their brain similarly to how you learn language. And it also is very advantageous in later learning mathematics because it's all systematic patterns and things like that. I did a paper in college on that, and I got an A about the links between math and music because, I'm a nerd. So I wish you luck. Let me know what you start with. My intention is to start Calliope on piano at 3. And if that doesn't work, I'll start her on cello because I love the cello. It's so awesome. I can kind of play cello, but not well. And that's it. Okay. Next question. Muffin Stud's practice session playlist asks, what comes first, putting toothpaste on your toothbrush or putting water on your toothbrush before your toothpaste? 100% water on the toothbrush, right? 120%. 150%. I mean, who wouldn't water down their toothbrush? Who wants to brush their teeth with a dry toothbrush with toothpaste on it? Who does that? Does everybody else do that? That's just my opinion. Okay. Next question. Justin Evans asks, hey, Felicia, your podcast kept me sane and snort laughing during my commute all week. I binged it after finishing your audiobook. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Justin. Thanks. That was his thanks, not mine. I'd love your advice on something. I've just started teaching my 6-year-old how to play D&D. Oh my God, it's adorable. He's loving it and is interested in recording our games to share on YouTube. I think this is awesome, but also a bit terrifying. He has been diagnosed with autism and has some noticeable physical tics. I'd love for him to hear encouragement and feedback from viewers, but I also fear the trolls. I'd hate for him to give up something he likes because of some bad comments. Any thoughts? Well, Justin, I feel pretty strongly about this, that I personally would not let Calliope upload any videos before she is of an age where I feel like she can make those decisions and withstand that. And that could be 18. I'm not joking. And I grapple with this a lot, and I 100% don't condemn any parent that does anything that's different from me. As someone who was weaned on the internet, who was weaned on video games, I cannot wait to play Nintendo Mario Kart with her. I can't wait to play Smash Brothers. I can't wait to play Super Mario Galaxy with her. I can't, at a certain age, like I think probably 6 or 7, I would allow that. I would never allow her to upload a video because I know how cruel the world can be. I personally, when I look back on it, when I started Geek and Sundry, I think what really broke me were the comments on Geek and Sundry, YouTube. Because I was never really on YouTube with the Guild. I was, but it was really early, and then we moved off of it. So it was so early in YouTube, we didn't get as many awful comments. And then when I came back in 2012, YouTube had matured a lot and gotten a lot nastier. And I really, really feel like I was not prepared for that kind of negativity. And it really affected the way I feel about myself. And I think if you're a kid, if one voice out of 1,000 positives, one is negative, it can be amplified so much in your mind, just psychologically, as a human being. As an adult, I don't know what that does to a 6-year-old, certainly. I don't know what it does to a 15-year-old. I certainly don't know if it's healthy for a 15-year-old to be super overnight famous, and they have this warped sense of self, and then 5 years later, they don't have that fame and adulation anymore, and they haven't gotten the tools to develop who they are and their identity outside of other people knowing who they are. I get really concerned about it. So, I don't know. I even feel bad now about filming Calliope when she's doing something because that's making her self-conscious about something that she's doing. She's aware of being watched. And I feel like when we're aware of being watched, we are not who we are, right? If we're dancing alone in a room, we're dancing in a different way than if you have one person in the room watching you, and we're dancing in a different way if we have 1,000 people watching us. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you start to form your outer being dependent on other people's perception of you. And you adopt that perception of you instead of just being like, I need to figure myself out. And maybe I'm going too deep on this. I think maybe if you uploaded it to a private link and just linked it to your friends and family, that would be totally fine. But having strangers talk about my kid especially if there's anything that could invite negativity. But honestly, even if he has a tick or anything like that, people will be hideous to anybody, no matter what. And it's like this special human capacity to shame and ostracize people and be able to find things that are different, quote unquote, about them and make them feel bad about that. And to me, what makes you different is what makes you special in this world, and what makes your voice special, and what makes it incumbent upon you to express yourself and your weirdness in a way. And I think that there's some kind of human instinct that shames people for their weirdness. And if anything would motivate a child, especially, to not be proud of who they are and being different, I don't know, I would avoid it. But, if it's just a circle of friends, or if he just wants to see it filmed and watch it back, maybe, I don't know. That would be my advice. But who knows? Maybe I'm just becoming a Puritan. But I think it's so cute that you're playing D&D, and I kind of wanted to watch it. I just think that's amazing. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I don't know what Calliope's going to be. I feel like she might be a paladin or a berserker. She will not be a spellcaster like her mama. I know that. She is an upfront kind of lady, and that's what I love. Oh my God, D&D for 6-year-olds. That is adorable. I want to watch that show. I just contradicted everything I told you. Okay. James Smith, just a couple more questions. James Smith asks, hey, I've recently graduated from college. Welcome, graduate. I was wondering, what was the first job you had after college? Thank you and keep up the good work. Wow, James. Well, after college, basically through college and after college, I was a violinist. So what I did to make money was I played weddings, and I played events, and I played in the orchestra in Austin, and I did a lot of things like that. And let me just tell you, that's why I hate weddings, and that's why I am very loath to adhere to any organized religion. I did play for 4 straight years at this little tiny Methodist church behind UT. Mrs. Castle was the piano player, and that was a wonderful time because the pastor was very, had amazing things to say. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not religious, but just message-wise, I always took something away that was like, oh, that's an interesting way to think. I love that philosophy. But then I also went to mega churches, and I played the violin, and I saw people say sermons about things that really I felt was not a loving environment, and I was treated like a servant. And hey, enter in the back way, violinist. And so I have had some mixed feelings about that part of my life as far as like what I did to make money. But it was fun. I mean, it just was interesting. It was a unique experience. And then I also worked for a film festival in Austin. And then I moved to LA and I tried to become an actor. I think my first paid job as an actor was a Starburst commercial where it was like a summer campaign, and the director didn't like me. He said I was an albino. He hated the fact that I had big, he wanted me to have a tan. And at the time there wasn't like spray on tans and stuff. And he was really mean to me on set, but the client really liked me. And then I told everybody to tune in at like 2 a.m. on MTV because they said they were going to air it. And I had gotten cut out of the commercial. Like I wasn't in the commercial anymore. They cut me out. And I cried so hard because it was my first like Hollywood job. God, that was embarrassing. My grandma was like, I didn't see you. And I was like, you must have missed me. No, I wasn't actually in the commercial. So, whatever. I still like Starburst. Alrighty, last question. Oh yeah. Crystal Universe PhD says, what was the Lovecraftian horror book you mentioned in your podcast a couple weeks back? Okay. That book was the 20 Palaces series by Harry Connolly. And it is such a good series. I love it so much. Thanks for reminding me because I didn't know his name last time. And then there are 2 other books that I've read recently in the Lovecraftian world. One of them is Lovecraft Country, and that is by Matt Ruff. And that is being made into a TV series on HBO, and it's going to be amazing. I read that book and I was like, oh my God, it needs to be a TV series. And of course, it was already being developed. And then another book that I actually mentioned in one of my first couple podcasts called Dream Quest of Velvet Bow by Kij Johnson. That is a novella, but it actually is about a Lovecraftian world, and it's really clever, and it has this amazing female, older female protagonist. I would highly recommend it as a novella. It's very touching and very interesting because it's done from the reverse. I don't want to spoil anything more. But anyway, all three of those books and series and whatever have Lovecraftian lore in it. And they're all very different, but very, very good. All right. Well, guys, if you like my podcast, please subscribe and spread word. I think I'm going to change this whole thing. Okay, from now until the end of the year, I'm going to do a little more PR and get some more interviews here. B, I'm going to maybe move to Libsyn because that will allow people on Google Play and all that stuff to download the podcast. Aaron Mahnke, who does Lore Podcast, recommended I do it week 2, but I have not gotten around to it because I'm too tired. But I intend on doing that, moving it. So just make sure to follow on iTunes and that feed will stay the same. The RSS will stay the same. I am not 100% certain, but I'm going to look into it this week. And then also I'm going to do that newsletter because I mentioned it earlier. I really love the idea of recommending things every week. You know, it's kind of hard in the podcast to like write down what I'm talking about. But if I did a weekly newsletter, then I can not only talk about that, but other, link articles that I've read online that I thought were interesting that week. And I love curating stuff. And I think it might be a fun thing if I could figure a format out that's pretty easy. Tiny Letter is a place that you can have up to 5,000 subscribers and you can send it out for free. And I was like, oh, okay, that should stay manageable for me and you guys. And if we got more than 5,000 people, God forbid, well, I guess those are other problems. We won't. We'll keep it intimate and small, you guys. So please have a good time this week, and I will talk to you later. I plan on streaming this week, so check it out, and have a great week. Bye.